Greenlight Network presents Football Time.
Hey, and welcome to the Football Time podcast. We're here for our NFL picks show. No more previews. We're just going to take a look at the games, make our picks, and get into some actual football now. The games are kicking off. With us, as always, is our man, Achilles Rain. Achilles, it's here. Football time is here. Are you ready to get into some picks and previews?
Yeah, buddy. I mean, enough talk. This is where it actually matters now. Now we got to put our money where our mouth is. And hopefully we can do what we did last season.
Yeah, definitely so. All right. So we had a game Thursday night. We previewed a little bit on the Tuesday show. It was Tuesday's show. I believe it was Tuesday's show. It was a show earlier in the week. Let's go with that.
You have so many, you lose track of them.
The days have sort of run together, but I know it was earlier in the week, and we are now later in the week. So Dallas, Tampa Bay, it was pretty much the shootout we thought it'd be. All the hard knocks, Dallas defense is great. Turned out they still give up massive, huge plays down the field. Their offense looked pretty good. I thought Dak looked pretty good. No running game to speak of. They threw the ball a billion times in this game. But what'd you make of last night's game?
I thought it was a pretty entertaining game as far as like openers go. Usually, we're kind of accustomed to getting those really low scoring games after teams kind of getting a little rusty from the offseason. But it was kind of entertaining to have a high scoring game. It was a lot closer than I anticipated, a lot closer than a lot of people anticipated. But overall, I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely an entertaining game. It wasn't quite as it was a little sloppy, but it was more open than the opening night games usually are. Anyway, Dallas once again, it pretty much looked like Dallas from the start of last season. A lot of throwing, a lot of numbers. Come away with a loss, don't convert touchdowns in the red zone. I don't totally get, I just wanted your thoughts on this, why they don't run Zeke. I get it that it was probably difficult to run him in that Tampa Bay game, but, they played such a high-paced, volume offense that they kept giving the ball back to Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay was just taking the ball, carving them up, hitting them on deep plays. Those two turnovers on the 20-yard line, sort of kept them in the game. But I just don't quite understand, the play call and to play so fast and open and give so many possessions to the other team when your defense is not capable of getting stops. I get it if you think your defense is capable of getting stops and not giving up explosive plays, but if you're giving up explosive plays, basically you are just giving the other team the ball numerous amounts of time to score on you. And if you are still poor scoring in the red zone, which they clearly are, you're going to lose. It's going to look good on fantasy. Everybody's fantasy team who had players in this game are happy, but the Cowboys lose the game. So I just don't quite understand the offense. We got such a big deal about Zeke and how he's trimmed down, and then they, give him 7 carries in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had like 11 or 13 carries. I can't remember the actual number, but I think they attempted to try to run the ball, or at least to kind of get a feel for the type of defense that they were going to face up against, whether any holes were going to open up. And I think they saw pretty early on that Tampa Bay defense, that front seven, are going to be pretty stingy when it comes to the run. You're going to have to make plays. Zeke is kind of expected to make plays because we consider him such a great back, although last season was kind of a down season for him. I don't know how much of that had to do with the aspect that he didn't have his quarterback. But realistically, I think that Dallas did exactly what they had to do. In order for them to be in this game, it had to be a shootout. I don't think that this was the type of game that I could picture Dallas controlling, regardless of how good that one game can be, and it has been. I don't think that was the type of style they had to play to be competitive in this game. That Tampa defense is just too strong. That Tampa offense is just too many weapons. I think their best option was to turn this into a shootout. That's exactly what happened. I think that's why it was as close as it was.
Okay, interesting perspective there. I see it. I just, you know what? they don't seem to win the shootout is the problem, so I guess, maybe I might be over judging since, I think we all thought Tampa Bay is a better team than Dallas. So the result is not all that stunning. I don't quite understand why you want to keep giving that Tampa offense the ball when your defense is the weak point. And I just didn't quite get it. Even if you're passing and you aren't giving Zeke, they were getting those little outside passes all day long. Why were you rushing up to the line to get a new playoff? I just thought it might benefit them a little to slow that tempo down. But, maybe you're right. Maybe they just wanted to get in that shootout and see if they could hang with them. They did create a couple turnovers, but, basically that's what that defense did last year. Create a couple turnovers, give up explosive plays. So, I didn't see that much improvement on that side of things.
I do want to say really quickly that I thought this was definitely a good showing for Dak Prescott. A lot of people were concerned about how he was going to look coming back from that, pretty nasty injury, and the fact that he was out basically all of preseason. So I think if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan or a Dak Prescott owner in fantasy, this is definitely a positive sign. He looks to be himself. I did notice there were a few moments where he looked a little bit jumpy, but I think for the most part, he seemed pretty composed and ready to just kind of take control of that game. And overall, 400 yards, pretty good night, regardless of the final outcome.
Yeah, I will say they did a pretty good job of keeping him clean. And then they did an even better job of getting the ball out of his hands. They didn't have him sitting in that pocket holding it for too long where he starts to take hits. The only thing, I didn't think he was gimpy on the ankle. I just thought he was a little, quick to get down or get, out of bounds on the couple runs he did run. But, that's expected. And, I don't even think they're truly counting on him to really be the dual threat that he sort of was, the last couple of years before that. But anyway, pretty good kickoff to the start of the season, which we haven't always gotten. But we got a full slate Sunday and one on Monday that we have to get into. So we're going to get into each game. We're going to pick our 5 mutual picks. You and I agree on 5 picks. And then I'm going to put $50 on each 5 of our picks throughout the season. So we got our 50 on 5 mutual picks. So I'll tweet out those tickets so you could see our mutual 5 picks on the season. All right, full slate of games.
You really put the pressure on me this year, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Either we're going to have a very big party at the end of the year, or Greenlight Network is going to fold and go by the wayside.
I hope it's not that.
Or at least just get off to a hot start, so I have a nest egg in there.
I'm pretty good at doing that.
Hot start, good. Slow start, bad. Let's just go that way. All right, let's kick it off with the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Atlanta Falcons. The spread there is -3. The over-under is 48. First half line -3 for the Falcons as well. First half over-under is 23.5. This one's an interesting one. I'm really curious to get your take here. I don't think we touched on, the Eagles making the trade for Gardner Minshew. I thought that was pretty interesting there. I think they're sort of hedging their bets here that Hurts might not be great early, and we might get some Gardner Minshew sort of in the second half of the season here. But Atlanta at home to kick off the season. How do you think this game plays out here?
As I was looking at some of these lines that you sent me, I thought that this was probably one of the most favorable ones. Not so much because I think that Atlanta is that much more improved as opposed to last year, but more so because I think Philadelphia kind of needs to find its identity. I think it's a team that's definitely in some sort of rebuild mode. And the fact that they're going on the road, week 1, I think this is -3. I think this is pretty favorable. I kind of like this matchup.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it.
I will say I saw the line and I really liked it for Atlanta. And, then it started crossing my mind. Here we go again. Atlanta 3-point favorites at home. What could possibly go wrong? This bet has never gone wrong in the past 10 years. So that crossed my mind a little bit. And I don't know if I totally wanted to be involved in this game because I think both Philadelphia and Atlanta have been bugaboo teams on my list. But if I'm like just straight handicapping the game, I do think it's good value for Atlanta here. I think this Philadelphia team will be poor, especially defensively. I definitely think there is a nice chance for a blowout on the side of Atlanta here. So I do sense really good value here with Atlanta, but I don't know. I was just tentative to get our season off to
Pick it, Atlanta.
Be in the Atlanta Falcons off the bat. I wanted to ease into my disappointing Falcons betting and not just go full bore. But I definitely think it should probably be up there because I do like that -3 line.
Yeah, I think it's one for the maybe column.
Yeah. Any love on the over under there at 48? I don't really have a read how this is going to go. I don't know what Philadelphia's offense is going to be like. And I think both these defenses are poor, but I'm a little scared Philadelphia's offense might be poor and this number might not be reached. What were you thinking on that one?
I'm more concerned about the Philadelphia defense, if anything. I want to see if they have the same type of pass rush they had last season because their secondary was exposed a little bit because there were certain games where the pass rush just wasn't getting to the quarterback, and when that wasn't working, everything else wasn't good enough to keep up appearances. So I'm curious to see if they got some of those holes fixed. But as far as Atlanta, if their defense can play the way they finished last season, then I think they have a really good shot at winning this game.
Well, they do have the Tennessee Titans coaching staff there. So what could go wrong with that defensive side of things?
Don't let Dynamite hear you.
No, he will already be angry, especially when he hears my picks later in the show. Just a hint about what's upcoming in our pick segment. All right. How about we put the Falcons, slot them into a maybe category and see what we got there. All right. Next game up, Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills, 6.5-point favorites for the Buffalo Bills. The over-under sits at 49. First half line at -4. First half over-under at 24. This one I don't have a great read on. I do think the Bills are a much better team, but I am a little curious at how this Pittsburgh defense comes out. I can't take away, this is probably the Bills' first true home game. I know they had a handful of people there in the playoffs, but the stadium would be full in Buffalo. And this will be the first time they've really got to see this team as they've sort of ascended to the upper echelon, of the AFC. So I like Buffalo in this one, but that 6.5-point line has me a little nervous. I'm curious what your take is on this one.
The part that has me nervous is the way that the Pittsburgh Steelers opened up the last season. They opened up pretty strong, and I believe they were the last undefeated team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think they started out 6-0, maybe 7-0.
Now,
then they lost like 5 straight.
I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but it's definitely one of those very veteran savvy teams that if they kind of get some good momentum going, they can make some noise, especially early on in the season before those the age factor starts to kind of kick in. But I do think that Buffalo can win this game. Just like you said, that 6.5-point spread for week 1 is a little scary for me. I'm not a huge fan about betting early on in the season, but if I had to, I'd probably stay away from this one.
Yeah, I think I'd stay away from this one. You're getting a healthy Ben to start out the season. 6 weeks, 8 weeks from now, it might not be the exact same thing. You're getting a healthy Najee Harris. They haven't started to put the, carries on him yet. The concern would be the offensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But then we mentioned in our preview series that we don't know about this Bills pass rush. it started to slip last year, which sort of caused the defense to slip last year. So Buffalo might not even be able to take advantage of the poor offensive line. And I think we both think the Steelers defense will be one of the best defenses in the league. So I'm sort of a stay away on this one, even though I think it'll be a really, really entertaining game to watch. But I don't think I'd lay any money on this, certainly on the spread right now.
No, especially this early on the season. I just think there's too many negatives against that particular bet. So it's something that I would stay away from.
Yeah, over under at 49. I thought this was a little high. I do think you could maybe talk me into going on an under on this, just because I don't think this will be quite the shootout it will be. But I was curious on your take on an over under of 49 for the Bills Steelers.
I kind of understand it. I mean, I don't have numbers in front of me, but I believe that Pittsburgh's defense last season was one of the better scoring defenses in the league. And if that's the case, I think you take that into account when you're making a spread or over under like this. So it kind of makes sense to me. Still probably a tad high for my liking, but either way, I think this is one of those games where I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the actual matchup between two potential contenders.
Yeah, I think we'll be a pass on this one for sure, and have a nice feel, going into week 2, what Pittsburgh will be like, moving forward, and it'd be a little easier to handicap them, without such a tough game in Buffalo. All right, next up, we're already getting bad, large road favorite spreads here. San Francisco 49ers go to the Detroit Lions. 7.5 point spread for the San Francisco 49ers. Over under sits at 45.5. First half line is at -4 for the 49ers, and the first half over under is at 23. I do think this game's going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be lopsided, but you will have to do a lot of convincing to get me to take a 7.5 point road favorite in week 1. So what do you make of this matchup? What do you make of this game?
To be completely honest with you, I'm interested to kind of see what the Detroit Lions are actually going to bring to the table in an actual
Nothing.
regular season game. I guess as
The number one draft pick.
I guess it's more interest in the sense of as a Ram fan to see what Jared Goff has when he doesn't have as many weapons around him. I'm interested to see that. I'm interested to see the divisional rivals, San Francisco 49ers. I want to see what they bring to the table, what they're looking like week 1. Are they going to make a change at quarterback anyway at any point through the season? These are the type of storylines that I'm kind of looking forward to. But as far as betting on this game, especially that kind of spread this early on, I'm definitely going to go for that.
Yeah, I just can't make myself do a spread that big, opening on the road in week 1, no matter how bad I think the Detroit Lions are going to be. It's just very, very difficult for me to really want to take that. But I think this really has a chance to be a lopsided game. I think the Niners defense will be all over, that porous Detroit offense. And, I think the thing is they won't even get a chance to really have to test Garoppolo and see if he can throw the ball. Cause I'm guessing the 49ers will be able just to run pretty easily on the Detroit Lions. That would be my other concern, that the Niners just make this a short, quick game, pound the ball, do what I was talking about in that Detroit game, Dallas game is, just run the ball, empty out the clock, get a couple scores and, wrap this one up early and quick. So I just can't make myself take a -7 to start out the season on the road.
Yeah, too big of a spread.
Yeah. 45.5 on the over under. I don't think I'm in love with that. I do think there is a possibility that Detroit scores under 10 points. So if you're hovering in that range, that would say that the Niners have to score about 35 to get to the over there. So I could be convinced to lean under on this a little bit. But I would be a little nervous too that the Niners have a chance to roll this up, and then we're in junk time in the second half, and Detroit gets a couple scores there.
Well, if we're going just based off, on paper here, I would say that the safer bet for me would definitely be the under on that one, simply because on paper, like I said, Detroit doesn't bring much to the table, and San Francisco can very easily just kind of keep pounding the rock on them and drain that clock, which would make it a low scoring affair. But I still would imagine San Francisco would win that game. So I'd lean more towards the under if I had to, but either way, I don't think I'm taking any action on this.
Yeah, definitely not. All right, we'll move to the aforementioned Cardinals versus the Tennessee Titans. Titans are favored by 3 points. Over under sits at 51.5. First half is a -2.5 for the Tennessee Titans. First half over under is 24.5. All right, interesting game here. I hinted at my lean. I'm leaning a little bit towards Arizona here. And I do think these two teams are about similar, talent-wise. I think Arizona's defense is a little better. And the other thing I sort of like about this is Arizona going into games like this knows they need to get these wins because it's going to be hard enough to get wins in their division. They have to get these out of conference, out of division wins to at least maintain a chance to get in the playoff. So I think this is a bigger game for Arizona than it is for Tennessee. Tennessee is looking at this as, sort of more an exhibition style game because it doesn't really affect them. They're going after their division games and trying to win their division and in their conference. But Arizona in such a tough division and is going to be grasping for wins to stay in that playoff thing. I think I find the value there at +3 on Arizona. I'm curious what you think about this game.
Even though I agree with everything you said, I'm actually leaning more towards the Titans side of the ball.
You think the Titans have the better team here?
I think they have the better offense, and I think that this could be another situation like the Tampa Bay Dallas game where you just see a complete shootout. I do think that Arizona definitely has more to lose in this particular matchup. Like you said, they're playing a much tougher division, and you're definitely going to try and get as many wins outside of your division as possible just to maintain with those other teams that are going to be, in my opinion, on the top of the leaderboards for that division. So I'm leaning more towards Tennessee. I think that them being at home, they got a shiny new weapon on the outside. Can he last the whole game? I hope so.
He'll be massaging his hamstring by the start of the second quarter.
Listen, and I'm not just saying these things because the Tennessee quarterback is on my fantasy team. Yes, I want him to do well, but I do think that they're going to have a really potent offense this season. As long as they can stay healthy and they can keep all their weapons out on the field, I think they're going to do really good. But this is going to be a toss-up. I just think that being at home is going to be where the advantage lies.
Yeah, I can see that. I just had a little bit of a nudge here. Also, the Kingsbury could come back and screw me over on this pretty good. But anyway, the thing I did want to talk to you about here is there were two I really liked on this game. You had the over-under at 51.5 overall. Now, that's a little bit high, but I think this game has the appearance of being a shootout. So I do think that over-under can get hit pretty easy. I do think this game probably is going to be played in the, low 30s, high 20s in there. And then the first half over-under, I really, really liked at 24.5. So you're looking at 2 touchdowns apiece for both teams. I think they can more than easily hit that 24.5 over here pretty easy. Do you have any love for any of those two?
I kind of, like I said, I have a feeling this could be a potential Tampa Bay Dallas type of game and where it becomes a shootout. And if it does, then I think they could definitely hit that over, especially if it comes down to the final plays of the game. I think it's going to be high scoring. So because of that, I think they could definitely hit the over. I like the over in this game. I'm not completely crazy about it, but I think it's got potential to hit.
Yeah, that's sort of why I like that first half over under sitting at 24.5. You're getting a little bit more value here. At 25 and a half is 50. The total overall in the game is 51.5. So that's 52. So they think there'll be 2 more points occurred in the second half. So I really do like that first half 24.5. I think this game starts off, hot and a whole lot of points scored in that first half. Especially since there's no weather to speak of in this game. So I think that thing can definitely get off to a pretty good start in that first half. So I think we probably should put that one and mark that into at least
maybe column.
A maybe column of probably both. 51.5 first half, 51.5 51 and a half game, 51 and a half, 24 and a half in the first half. So we can shut those into the maybe column and see how we like those once we come to an end here. We'll move on. Los Angeles Chargers versus the Washington football team. The Los Angeles Chargers come in as a 1-point road favorite. 44 and a half is the over under. First half is, a even first half, and the first half over under is 21 and a half. I saw this line and was really, really shocked that the Chargers come in cross country as a point favorite versus the Washington football team. I didn't quite understand it, other than maybe they think the Chargers defense will be a little bit better than they were. But this seems like a tough opener for that Los Angeles Chargers offense. But what did you make of the game here?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it pretty much during our previews of the regular season. We think that Washington is going to be much improved from what they were last season, if not by a lot, even by a small margin. And they had a pretty good defense last year. I mean, even against tough opposition, they seemed to kind of hold their own on the defensive side of the ball. Their biggest issue was the offense. We kind of assumed that the offense is going to be better this year. And if that turns out to be true, then this is going to be a much tougher game than it looks like they're giving people credit for. And again, we don't know how the Chargers quarterback's going to open up. You hear a lot about sophomore slump, things like that. Those are things that kind of concern me a little bit, which is one of the reasons why I usually stay away from week 1 through 3. But obviously, because of the show, we have to make picks. So this is not one that I'm very enticed in making. I know it's only 1 point, but I'm not too crazy about it. I can't really decide which way to go.
Yeah, I think you need to switch off your Rams hat and put on a Bolts hat.
That ain't going to happen, buddy. It's not going to happen.
I get it. The Chargers come in with a lot of sort of talk about them. You definitely want to see where they sit. And, I don't think we can totally just trust the Washington offense just yet, just because they have Ryan Fitzpatrick in there. Yes, theoretically, that is an upgrade over Dwayne Haskins and Alex Smith, but it also might not be. If anyone wants to go look and cross the 17-year history of Ryan Fitzpatrick, there are plenty of good moments, but there are plenty of moments where he has on pace for 25 interception season. So, It's not always great there. But I do lean a little bit towards Washington here. But if you're not comfortable with this game, we'll move on a little bit. I was not intrigued by the over-unders in this one. 44 and a half for the game, 21 and a half for the first half. Those are both low, definitely in the realm of why they think Washington probably going to be in a defensive game here. A little too low for my liking. So I was a no-go on the over-unders on this one pretty quickly.
I do want to say before you move on to the next game that you can sell me on this game. I just don't have a feeling for it. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'm sorry. I have already bought you a Eckler jersey from the pro shop. You will have it and wear it next week.
Did he get hurt already?
I think some sort of hamstring. Per always is always a little dinged up by him. But anyway, your Austin Eckler jersey is on the way. So wear it with pride. It's gonna
look good in one of my guest rooms.
I think you two are about the same size. So.
Yeah, except he's a little more talented than I am.
Actual game worn jersey.
That I'll take. I can flip that eventually.
All right, we'll move on to the game of the week. This is going on TV1. Let me tell you, Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans, a showdown.
I should have known better.
What?
I was trying to find what the next game was, looking down at the sheet here.
You think I skipped around on the sheet here a little bit?
I was like, okay, like he must have jumped a few games. I'm like, he's calling it game of the week.
All right, Jacksonville at Houston. Jacksonville's a 3-point favorite, 45 and a half in the game. Over under first half is the 1.5 point Jags favorite. Over under is 22 in the first half. I lean Jags, but this game is stinky. I'm not touching it at all. Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback for the Houston Texans. if you want to give me some sort of insight into this game that could lead to a winning bet, I'd be all ears. Not involving taking the Houston Texans.
I just don't have any idea as to how long you're comfortable sitting here in complete silence because I'm not coming up with anything.
Trevor Lawrence is going to play.
Well, this is your team. This is your Jaguars. So, I mean, if you want to take him here, just like last season, I'll give in if you want
yes,
to.
They are my team, but I still have reservations about road favorites, especially road favorites on 2-win teams a year before, even if it is a very small road favorite. At least Tyrod Taylor has played quarterback in the NFL in numerous games. So, and they do have, a handful of professional NFL players who have played numerous years, probably too many years for most of them. But I just don't know really how to handicap this game at all. I think Houston's going to be terrible. I think the Jags will be better than what people think, but I'm not like so aggressive in opening day road games that I'm going to go all bullish on it as a road favorite. So I'm just more curious to watch what the Jags bring to the table in this one and to see how bad the Texans really are.
Yeah, I mean, until the Jaguars show otherwise, this is a game between two bad teams. So probably something I'll just catch the highlights of.
I think I'm going to come over and show you the game film and break down how things work there.
Yeah, I know. I've got your Jaguar jersey ready, just so you know.
I have plenty of them. Keenan, Fred Taylor.
Oh, gosh.
I think I have a David Gerard one as well.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
I was pro David Gerard over Byron Leftwich all day long. Anyway, over unders 45.5, 22. I didn't see much love there. I think this game is just a move on and see what we got.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. This one's a little interesting to me. New York Jets versus the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers are 5-point favorites. 44.5 is the over. Under first half is a -3 for the Carolina Panthers. First half over under is 21.5. I kind of like the Panthers here. I'm not huge on big spreads here, but I think that Jets defense is going to be really, really porous. If Sam Darnold ever is going to have a good game, it will probably be this game versus old mates in the New York Jets. And I just think Carolina is a much, much better team, and this is a game they need to win. But that 5 points is a big spread for a team that won about 6 games last year. So what you're thinking on this one?
That's exactly what I was thinking of when I was looking at it right now is -5. I mean, for a team that, didn't perform that well last season. I mean, I know that they're getting their main star back, but is he going to make that much of a difference just by himself, even with the new quarterback and new system? I mean, yeah, he's great, but I don't know. I think that I still remember that game between the Jets and the Rams, and as bad as the Jets defense was looking all year long, they looked good in that game. I don't know how much of it had to do with the fact that they probably felt like huge underdogs and they had nothing to lose. But I don't know. If you like Carolina, I mean, I'll roll with you. I'll support you. I just don't have a feeling about this game either way.
Yeah, I like Carolina here. The other concern I have is I think they're going to use this as, just sort of Zach Wilson, let's wheel and deal. And I'm a little nervous of a lot of sort of backdoor covers for the Jets where, that first half they get, annihilated. And then, the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter, we're getting, 3 Zach Wilson touchdown passes because, everybody's just sitting around in prevent defense and Zach's launching the ball all over the place. But I do just think opening day, I think Carolina's the better team. This will be a big win for them because I do think they're going to try to make a playoff push. So we'll put that one in the maybe category as well and come back to it and see if we need some more. All right, next game up. This one really is probably a game of the week sort of candidate. So Seattle Seahawks at the Indianapolis Colts. Seahawks getting 2 points here. Over under sits at 49.5. First half spread is 1.5 for the Colts, and the over under in the first half sits at 24. Interesting game here. I'm laying a little bit with Seattle here, but tough road game to start out the year. But it just seems the Colts, one, they always seem to start off a little slow in the season. And I think they definitely will start off slow with this season with their training camp being so messed up with injuries and COVID and stuff. But I'm curious on your take on this game.
If Phillip Rivers was still on the Colts, I think I'd probably lean a little bit more towards the Colts. I think that this is probably going to be two of the better franchises in each conference. I think that they're both going to be competing for one of those playoff spots, if not a division title. With that being said, the fact that Indianapolis is coming in with Carson Wentz, that we still don't know exactly what we're going to get from him. We don't know if he's going to be the Carson Wentz of old or the Carson Wentz of recent, which hasn't been that good. So if that's the case, I'd rather go with the guy who I know can make magic happen. That's Russell Wilson. And I say that wearing the getup that I'm wearing. So I kind of like Seattle at +2 here.
Yeah, I think this is our first real one that we'll put in the lock category of our mutuals here. I just think Seattle gets off to a better start this season than Indianapolis. If this game is played, 10 weeks from now, 12 weeks from now, it's probably a different story. But I just think Seattle probably going to be better to start out the season here than Indianapolis, who probably still is a little bit in preseason mode. And, I've talked about it already earlier. Wins like this mean more for those teams in the NFC West, where they need to just pack wins. Whereas the Colts, this is an out of division, out of conference game. It can be utilized more as a sort of an extra warm up preseason game in game one of the season. So getting 2 points here, even if it is on the road, I really, really like Seattle in this matchup. So I think we'll mark Seattle down as a mutual for sure. So Seattle Seahawks +2 is our first definite agreed upon mutual. We'll move on to the next game here. Minnesota Vikings at the Cincinnati Bengals. Minnesota Vikings are 3-point road favorites. Over under sits at 48.5. This first half spread is -2.5 for the Minnesota Vikings. The first half over under is 23.5 here. You probably will get my pick later on this game. You aren't going to like it probably a whole lot, but I'm not going to lie. I'm leaning a little bit Bengals here. So what's your thoughts on this game?
Whoa. Well, wait. All preseason long, all off season long, I've been basically defending the Bengals, saying how they played tough, even though they lost their star quarterback early on last season, and you kept trashing about how horrible they were. And all we did was praise how great Cook played last season, and Jefferson and Thielen and all the weapons on that team. And now you're going to tell me that opening week, when it actually matters, in your segment, the 5 for 50, you're leading Bengals.
I might not just be leaning on the 5 for 50 in this one. Just a little teaser to come in our pick segment here.
If that's the case, then I'll roll with you and take the Bengals, just so that I can go the opposite of you in our individual picks. You really like the Bengals? Sell me.
All right, this is where I'm coming from here. I think Minnesota, once again, we're talking about sort of messy preseasons and training camp. I think Minnesota has had one. I think going on the road, opening weekend, going to be a little tough for Minnesota. A dome team going onto the grass here. And I do think Cincinnati, if they're going to be spunky, it might be spunky in this opening game, getting 3 points at home. In 10 weeks, we might be like, how the hell did Cincinnati play such a close game with Minnesota? But I don't know. I just sort of, I can't give you a ton of stats that support this, because really there are none that support this other than a home dog. Cincinnati, home dog. You know how I like those. And I just think their offense might be able to carve up this secondary a little bit. So if ever I was going to agree with the Cincinnati Bengals throwing 60 times a game, it would be this one. That is, of course, unless Joe Burrow looks like a scared person back there who doesn't trust his knee. And Jamar Chase continues with the droppies that he's had all preseason. But I don't know. I got a little feel here. So I'm a little bullish on Cincinnati, but we don't have to put this in our mutuals. It might be too much of a stretch. There might be better picks for our mutuals.
Listen, I can guarantee that there's better picks. But if you feel that strongly about it, we can go for it.
Well, I don't think we need to go. I feel that strongly about it.
You just said you're bullish about it.
I don't think if you were asking me to put my house payment on of my picks in my list, this would be the first one I choose. But I got a little feeling in there. There might be a little money line action for me as well in there. Be sure to tune in for Winning Daily on Sunday to check if I do throw down that money line action on the Cincinnati Bengals.
Nice plug there.
Yes, I know. All right. Cross promotion, baby. All right. We'll move off that game. We'll move into a little bit more of an interesting game. I'm certainly interested to get your take on this one because I think I might be going away that you would be surprised at in this one again. Denver Broncos versus the New York Giants. Denver Broncos are 2.5-point road favorites here. Over under sits at 42.5. First half is even. First half over under sits at 20.5. So I'm a little bullish here. I think this is overstating Denver Broncos on the road here as 2.5-point favorites. I kind of like the Giants opening up as 2.5-point dogs here. What do you see in this one?
Well, as much potential as I've seen in Denver and the Denver Broncos over the last year and a half, it seems. And we've talked about them numerous times that they're basically just a quarterback away from being competitive. I mean, I'm also kind of high on the Giants. I think the Giants have a lot of potential. I'm not saying that they're going to meet that potential, but I think the potential is there. This could be one of those games where Denver's coming in with, a whole new look, especially on offense. And because of it, they just may not be 100% ready. I kind of like the Giants in this one too, but a lot of that has to do with whether Saquon Barkley's a full goal or not.
Well, I think they've said Saquon's going to be a go for this one. I think some of their receivers are dinged up. I don't know if we're getting all of those guys. Kenny Golladay probably will be a late decision there, but I don't know. I just feel like this Giants defense might be able to bully the Denver offense a little bit. I think the coaching matchup overall, Joe Judge versus Vic Fangio leans our way. And then Denver coming across country to play an early game in New York, I think favors this one as well. So I really like the home dog in the New York Giants plus 2.5 on this one.
I like it too. I'd like it a lot more at 3. With you on this one.
All right. So I think we got 2 locked in here for sure. We're going New York Giants plus 2.5, and we have the Seattle plus 2. So 2 games in the books on our mutuals for sure. And we'll go to the actual marquee matchup of the week. Cleveland Browns at Kansas City Chiefs. Really good rematch of the playoff game here. Chiefs are 6.5-point favorites. Over under sits at 54. First half is at -4. First half over under sits at 25.5. This is going to be a really entertaining game, but I couldn't find a real way to really like the betting on this. I thought 6.5 was a little bit high for this, even though I think the Chiefs probably cover this. But it's so early in the season that I don't really see any reason that the Chiefs need to sprint out and put some whooping on the Browns to show that they're the dominant team. It doesn't really matter to them at this point. This game probably means more to the Cleveland Browns to show they can, match with the Chiefs here. But what's your take on this one?
Yeah, I'm exactly where you at. I think that Kansas City can definitely cover this spread. I could definitely see them winning by a touchdown. That's not to say that I don't think this match won't be close. I was up and down with Cleveland last season. I was down when they were playing well, and I kind of got on board when they started playing bad. The Chiefs, obviously, I think they're the consensus favorite in the AFC. I don't think a lot of people are going to argue that fact. With all that being said, I think there's actually two really good teams that are probably going to face off at some point, either in the playoffs or something like that. But week one to take, basically they have to win by a touchdown. Both teams are pretty explosive on offense. Both teams are pretty opportunistic on defense. I think Cleveland might even have the edge on defense. I'm probably staying away from it. I just think there's too many with week one, too many variables. I'm staying away from this one.
Yeah. The only thing I wanted to maybe look at is that over under sits at 54. That's really, really high for a week one game. So I think the under could be had there. I do think this Cleveland Browns defense is going to be pretty good. It's definitely a hard stomach one to take. You have the Chiefs defense on one side who might not be all that great and give up points. And then when you're messing with any unders involving the Kansas City Chiefs, no matter how good the defense is on the other side, it gets a little scary. But 54 seemed like a whole lot for a good Cleveland Browns defense here. Any interest in that one, or don't take unders on the Kansas City Chiefs?
No, I mean, that would be my first suggestion, is not to take an under against the Kansas City Chiefs, or an under with a team that has a pretty good offense. They have pretty good running game. They have really good wide receivers. I think that's a recipe for disaster, but you do make some very fair points. The fact that Cleveland has at least what would be a formidable defense could be enough to at least slow down the pace of the game enough to where it could at least stay below that 54 mark. Is that what it's at, 54?
Yeah, at 54.
Yeah, so you make a lot of sense. So if it's something that you feel very confident in that you want to roll with, I'd roll with you with that one. It definitely makes sense to me.
All right, we'll move the over-under of the Kansas City Chiefs into our maybe category and see what we got on these next couple games here. Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots. Patriots are 3-point favorites here. Over-under sits at 43. First half is a 2.5-point favorite for the Patriots. First half over-under is at 21.5. Interesting game here. The hype train has been rolling on the Patriots now that Mac Jones has taken over. It seems to have come off Miami a little bit. I'm a little bit bullish on Miami here, getting 3 points, because I think if you had talked about this, 4 months ago, I think everybody thought this would be Miami's year to sort of explode onto the scene. And now we're getting, huge hype on the Patriots and, Mac Jones. But I think everybody's forgetting Mac Jones is still a rookie quarterback. They did upgrade at tight end, but I still don't think they have the receiving game to really do this. I do think this will be a defensive game, but I'm curious on your take on this one.
Well, first off, I want to say I have a really hard time going against Coach Belichick for any reason whatsoever. I think he's proven himself, to be one of the better coaches in the league. Now to Miami side of the ball, I think that last season they obviously showed that they were much improved. And even with a young quarterback, I feel like they were really gritty. They were really tough. They were a very grindy team. We saw it when they played against the Rams. It was a really tough game, and the Rams at that point were kind of hot too. So I think it shows some growth. Now, I do expect, slight improvement when it comes to Miami. And I don't see that type of improvement with New England. With all that being said, like you said, yes, they upgraded at the tight end position. And they have their quarterback, the guy who they're going to roll with. They know it's not a question anymore whether it's going to be Cam Newton. We know Cam's gone. So those questions have been answered. But I still don't know what that New England offense is going to look like in an actual game. And that's the part that gives me a little bit of pause. I just think that the Dolphins, if I had to go with anything, I'd probably take the Dolphins as a dog in this one. I feel like based off last season, I know what they're going to bring to the table more than New England.
Yeah, I think I know what Miami is. I don't know what New England is yet, but maybe this one is a pass and we just sort of let this be, see what New England is. And then, if New England's really good, we adjust and come back in week 2 and look at that. Next up, we got the Green Bay Packers versus the New Orleans Saints. Green Bay is up 4.5-point road favorite here. Over under sits at 50. First half is +3 for Green Bay. First half over under is 24.5. I think Green Bay is the better team, definitely here, but 4.5-point road favorites in New Orleans. Now, granted, it is not in New Orleans, but it's in Jacksonville. But I'm not ready to take a 4.5-point favorite here on the road, even though it's not really on the road in this game. I don't know what to expect from the Saints, so I sort of just want to watch and see what they are before I start making bets on a team. Now that might burn me. The Packers might go in there and light them up, and we might get 3 Jameis picks. But I just can't make myself take the Packers at -4.5 yet, and I just want nothing to do with the Saints till I really sort of see what they are.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's super attractive. These guys were in the championship game, the NFC championship game for a reason. They have probably one of the most potent offenses if you go based off last year. All that being said, even with the new look for the New Orleans Saints, I think that it's too early on to really jump on that. We still don't know what the aftermath is going to be with all that. Even though it was just noise, we were hearing that there were issues between Aaron Rodgers and management over in Green Bay. Yeah, that might have just been hearsay and rumors and things like that, but we don't know if there's going to be any after effect to that. So I'd like to wait this out, watch this game. This is probably going to be entertaining if both offenses and both teams play up to their potential. It's going to be a fun game to watch. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay away from this particular line and just kind of watch and enjoy.
Oh, yeah. I think this is definitely a stay away, but should be fun to see what this Saints offense brings to the table with Jameis behind center. But 4.5 just seemed like a lot. We'll move to the next game, Bears versus the Rams. Rams are 7.5-point favorites. Over under sits at 47.5. First half is -4. And first half over under is 22.5. I really like the Rams here, but we'll get to it on my pick. That 7.5-point spread just is way, way too much for me. But I think the first half line of -4 is pretty nice because I think this game is going to be Rams blowing them out early. And then by the second half, we're getting, some Fields love, probably Rams pulling some guys. So I don't see a ton of value in this game at 7.5, but that first half line of -4, I think is a pretty nice line. I'm curious what you think of the game and what you think of the two spreads there.
I kind of agree with you. I think that this is one of those games where the Rams could easily take some sort of lead early on, being the fact that they have the more dominant team, the more dominant players. But they also lack a lot of depth. They don't have depth. We talked about this during our NFC West preview. They lost a lot in terms of, having the ability to rotate guys in and out and at least not lose the level of play, very much. Now, the Bears, I know that they're not as good as they were last season, especially, with the whole regime change and the new quarterback at the helm, things like that. But they do have a little bit of depth. And as the game progresses, maybe, on a couple of junk plays, things like that, they can kind of bring it close. So that 7.5 sits a little high for me, even for a team as dominant as the Rams have the potential of being. But that -4 for the first half, I think that's actually a pretty nice bet. I could definitely see them, winning by at least a touchdown or a couple of field goals into, early in that first half.
Yeah. All right. So I think we have number 3 in our mutuals. Los Angeles Rams, first half, -4. All right. Let's have some explosive offense in that first half for the Los Angeles Rams. All right. Last game on the slate, Baltimore Ravens versus the Las Vegas Raiders. I haven't looked, to update this line. We'll get into the Baltimore Ravens and their whole running back team now with torn ACLs or on the Houston Texans. But Ravens are 4.5 points when I gave you the sheet. Over under sits at 50.5. First half +3. First half over under is 24.5. Honestly, I'm big on the Raiders getting 4.5 here, open in this stadium in Vegas, and I think it's going to take a couple weeks for Baltimore to sort of recover find their footing. Now with Gus Edwards out with a torn ACL, basically a whole new running back room. Legit, 3 running backs are on the roster now who haven't even really been with the team. One guy was on the practice squad last year from BYU, but I just think they're hitting a point right here where there might just be a little bit too many injuries to really start out the season well. So I think there's pretty good value here in the Las Vegas Raiders plus 4.5.
Now, I'm always a little hesitant to take any type of Raider game because last season, all they did was, and pardon my language, but all they did was screw me over. Whenever I was high on them, they played bad. Whenever I was low on them, they played good. And it seemed like it was pretty much a story all season long. So that's what I get for going with any Raider game. But I just don't know how comfortable you feel with it.
I'm in between just because I think officially opening that new stadium, I think they'll be pretty juiced for a Monday Night Football. And really, I just think Baltimore is going to get off to a slow start. They lost Marcus Peters as well to a torn ACL. So they're putting in a new nickel corner in there, completely different running back room with a team that, is based virtually on timing off that running back room with Lamar playing with new guys. I just think they will be off to a slow start. I think Baltimore will find their way, but I'm really worried about this game. And I think the value just sits there at plus 4.5 for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, as of right now, I was just looking down at my my app. It sits at +4 for the Raiders right now.
So it hasn't moved all that much. So,
No.
But it's your call. I know the Raiders are a tough take, especially when we start watching that defense give up gaping running holes, and all of a sudden Scott and Latavius Murray all of a sudden look great, and we're like, why? But I just think the Raiders here on opening night on Monday Night Football in that stadium, probably going to be a little pumped up, be able to handle them. I think their offense will be able to move the ball a little bit on Baltimore, and I just think it's going to take Baltimore a couple weeks to sort of refine that offensive rhythm. Bateman's out too. He's put on IR for the wide receiver room. So once again, they're pretty thin at wide receiver. Just seems like everything's sort of tilting the Raiders' way here.
Well, if you feel that strongly about it, then I'll roll with you. And I think that's another one we can definitely throw in our maybe column.
All right, so we'll put the Raiders on our maybe column. I think we have 3 games definite here. Seattle Seahawks plus the 2 over the Indianapolis Colts. New York Giants plus the 2.5 over the Denver Broncos. And the Los Angeles Rams plus the plus that would be very nice.
Yeah, I'd gladly take that.
The house payment would go on that one. The Los Angeles Rams minus the 4 in the first half. So those are our 3. Our 3 is in the maybe columns. We have the Falcons -3 on that one. We have the I believe the do we go with the Titans over 51.5 and first half over 24.5. We have the aforementioned Raiders plus 4.5. And I think our last one was where we're sitting. Under on the Kansas City Chiefs, Cleveland Browns. What of those do you really, really like? You seem to really like Atlanta. Do you want to put Atlanta in there in the mutuals there for number 4?
I'll tell you what, as you're calling them out, that Tennessee over under for the first half actually
like
sounds a
that
lot
one?
more tight. Yeah, because you're getting like an extra 1.5 once you combine it with the second half. Who's to know if they're really going to perform a lot better in the second half? They might get worse. I kind of like that one a little bit more than the over under for the entire game.
Yeah.
Then what? We still need one more, right?
Yes, we need one more. So we'll put first half over 24.5 for Arizona and Tennessee. Falcons -3. We had the Raiders plus 4.5, and we have the Chiefs under 54.
Oh, you know what? I'll let you pick that last one. I pretty much picked this fourth one, so I'll let you pick that last one.
All right, let's go with Atlanta -3 and start off the season as we always do with Atlanta doing something stupid and costing us that game.
That'll be fun. Great way to kick off the season.
We can begin to hate the Atlanta coaches early and try to get them fired in their first year. All right, so we have our 5 mutuals. We're going with the Atlanta Falcons -3 over the Philadelphia Eagles, the Arizona Cardinals, Tennessee Titans over first half 24.5, the Seattle Seahawks +2 versus the Indianapolis Colts, the New York Giants +2.5 over the Denver Broncos, and we have the first half Los Angeles Rams -4 versus the Chicago Bears. So those are our mutuals. Our 50 on 5 mutual picks will be there Sunday to win us a lot of big money. Now it's time to win us individually some money. We're going to give our picks for the week. So I came out with 10 picks on the week. So I'm coming out hot
10.
and flyer. I'm
10.
coming out hot and flying in the NFL this week. So how many picks do you have in that world?
I think I have 6 picks.
All right. So 6 picks for you, 10 picks for me. I'll start out since I'm 4 up on you. I'm going with the Arizona Cardinals +3, the aforementioned. I think they need this game. I think the talent is similar, and I think Arizona has a little bit better defense here. So I'm going to ride Arizona getting 3 points versus the Tennessee Titans. All right, what do you got?
For my first one, I'm going with Atlanta at -3. I think that Atlanta being home, the fact that Matt Ryan's got himself a nice security blanket in his big tight end, and I think he's going to use his shiny new weapon. So I'm looking forward to them actually doing some damage on offense compared to last season where they got really hot start on offense and then they slowed down. I think that they start picking it up again, and Philadelphia's not quite where they want to be yet. So I'm going to take Atlanta -3.
All right, going with Atlanta. I'm going with the Washington football team +1 versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Really like them as home dogs here. I think that defense will harass the Chargers. I don't think that Chargers defense will be able to be good enough to really mess with the Washington football team. So I'm riding Washington +1 here. Oh, what do you got for us?
For my next one, I am taking the Tennessee Titans at home at -3. I think that offensively they have a lot of firepower, and the fact they got Julio Jones is going to open things up even more for Derrick Henry. So I see them to really try and control the ball, be a little more balanced than they have been over seasons past. And this might be another year for Derrick Henry to try to reach that 2,000 yard mark.
All right, our first duel of the season. A little bit action here. Hometown Tennessee Titans for Achilles reign. Arizona Cardinals for me, our first duel. Maybe next week I'll be able to input the drop, so we'll have a fun little audio drop when we have a duel in there. But you're just going to have to live with my DJ voice announcing it for right now. All right, moving on. I'm going with the Carolina Panthers -5. We talked about this. Other than the bloated spread, and I'm a little nervous the Jets are going to backdoor this, but I think Carolina is a much, much better team than the Jets, and I think they get off to a pretty good start and blow this game out. So Carolina Panthers -5 for me.
For my next one, I'm taking the over-under in the first half for the Tennessee Titans and Arizona Cardinals.
All right. You're loaded up on our mutuals. On to the Achilles reign. Picks. I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. Speaking of our mutuals, +2 versus the Indianapolis Colts. We talked about this one. Really like the Seahawks getting +2 versus a Colts team who I think is going to get off to a slow start. What do you got next?
I really didn't want to mess up the shot, and I had no paper in front of me, and I was trying to find a place to write down my picks because a lot of these picks, especially for these first 3 weeks, since I don't like making picks for the first 3 weeks, are just kind of off the top of my head, kind of I get a gut feeling. I've got them all written down in my hand. And yes, I've also got Seattle at +2. We pretty much summed it up earlier when we talked about it, but I think Seattle is probably the better team right now.
Yeah. All right. We're going with one I mentioned before. Cincinnati Bengals +3 over the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to ride bingo power here. I mentioned maybe a little bit of a money line wager. We'll decide on that on Sunday. But for our picks, I'm going Cincinnati Bengals +3 over the Minnesota Vikings here.
Okay. Well, I mean, we don't have the drop yet, so I'll just kind of do like clink, 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 because we got another duel. Because I'm going with Minnesota.
Oh my! It's a
Minnesota
dueling weekend here.
-3. Yeah, I think that they have a lot more weapons on offense, and I think that they have the potential to just completely blow this one out. This could be one of those games where Cook goes off for a huge game, and if that's the case, then I see myself winning this at -3. I'm taking the Vikes.
I'm accepting of losing the Titans-Cardinals duel as long as I can get this one, and you have to watch Kirk Cousins throw 5 interceptions in that game.
What do you got next?
You can go undefeated except for that game, which I just want you to watch Kirk
That's
Cousins
the one I want to win.
lose to the Bengals.
I think I might even have Adam Thielen on fantasy too. So I don't know. I might be making fantasy picks
Are
right
you
now. For all
picking
I know.
these based on your fantasy roster?
I don't know. I'm telling you, these just kind of the top of my head. I don't like betting this early in the season, man. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, well, you're going to have to add Kirk Cousins then.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
All right. Next up for me, it was also in our mutuals. I like the New York Giants +2.5 versus Denver Broncos. We talked about it. Nice home underdog here. Think Denver will have trouble traveling into New York. I think New York's defense will be a little bit better than people think. Offense, we'll see what we get, but like them getting points in week 1. So Giants +2.5 for me.
Yeah, I am a little more scared now that I saw Dallas play. The fact that I saw Prescott actually kind of look like himself. So I'm not as bullish on the Giants as I was, but I'm showing the Giants a lot of love this season. I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. With that being said, I'm also taking the Giants on this one.
All right. We got some battles and we got some mutuals and some real mutuals on our picks. Yeah. So it's a fun ride this week. Next up, I got a double dip in this game. I'm going with the Miami Dolphins +3 versus the New England Patriots. I think the Dolphins have a little bit better team here. I think the Patriots are getting a little bit overhyped due to a rookie quarterback being in there. And then I'm going Miami and New England on the under 43. It's a really, really low under, but I think these two teams are going to play a pretty, fast-paced defensive game, and we aren't going to get, more than 20 points scored on either side. So I think that 43 goes under on there. So Dolphins +3 and Dolphins Pats under 43 for me on my picks on that one.
I think I might have miscounted because I still have one left.
All right.
Just based off what my hand's telling me. I've got the Rams at -4 for the first half.
Rams -4 for the first half. Well, guess what? I also have the Los Angeles Rams -4 for the first half. So we are matching again. So we got a couple duels and a couple matches. So this should be a fun week to see how those things play out. Rams first half -4 for me. I think they take control of this game early and cruise in and might get I'm a little too scared of that back door to take the full game line on the -7.5. And my last pick of the day, we talked about it. The Las Vegas Raiders +4.5 over the Baltimore Ravens. I talked about how I think the Ravens are going to start a little bit slow due to this bad rash of injuries here. And I think the Raiders opening up that new stadium with actual fans there, put on a bit of a show and have a nice opening win on Monday Night Football. So I got the Raiders +4.5 over the Baltimore Ravens.
Now, I do have a request to make. If for some weird reason my palms get sweaty and I lose my picks, can I get those picks from you later on? Because I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but something I started doing towards the end of last season, everything that I was picking, I was actually putting bets on in real life. So I'm looking to make
I think we need to get one of the wives to write down the picks
Yeah.
as they're watching the show, so I don't have to rewatch it for the 400th time
You know
in
what?
the editing bay.
You're right. You're right. But you know what? My only concern is that she's going to realize that I didn't take the Patriots, and she's probably going to come after me.
Uh, we can edit that in later. She's going to be madder that I took against them. So that's where we're going here. That's our first picks of week 1. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our content. Yesterday, Dynamite David was in here, and we had a whole host of college football look-aheads on week 2 and a bunch of picks. I think we set a record number for picks. I believe I had 17 or 18 picks, and the Dynamite had like 14 or 15 picks. So we tickled your fancy if you like a lot of picks to bet on. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. Winning Daily. We'll be back. We got a lot of action this weekend, so be sure to tune into that and not to miss it. Where can we find you, Achilles?
As always, you can find me on Twitter, TDACHILLES, TD Achilles.
All right, that's our show, and we're out.